Have you ever noticed how your bank manager becomes extremely helpful when you're out of money? Like that phone call offering a personal loan right when your account is in the red, or that credit limit increase that magically appears after you spent too much on your credit card. But when you finally manage to save some money, when you finally accumulate around $20,000 or $25,000 in your account, total silence. No one calls you. No one offers you anything except a savings account that pays about 0.6% per month, if that. In other words, less than inflation in most months. Have you ever stopped to think about why this happens? Here's the thing. This is not a coincidence. It's literally how the banking system was designed to work. And today I'm going to show you exactly why a traditional bank would rather have you owing $5,000 than having $25,000 saved. And when you truly understand this math, when you really grasp how this game works, you will never look at your bank the same way again. Let's start with the way most people know it. You work the whole month, receive your salary, and the next day half of it is already gone in automatic debits. You have 1,500 left to get through the month. You buy groceries, pay for transportation, put gas in your car, and when the 15th arrives, it's all gone. You simply have nothing left. Then you look at the calendar and think, damn, there are still 15 days until the next paycheck. And that's exactly when your bank becomes your best friend. A notification pops up on your phone. Congratulations! You have 3,000 raised in pre-approved personal loan credit. It almost feels like they knew, right? Well, the truth is, they actually do know. They have all the data. They know when you get paid, how much you spend, and even when you're likely to need borrowed money. So you borrow $2,000 at an interest rate of 8% per month. Let's break that down. 8% per month means that on a 12-month loan, you'll end up paying around $250 to $270 every month. At first you think, that's manageable, and technically it is. The real problem starts the following month. Now you have $250 less every single month. So when the 15th comes around again, you're not only dealing with the normal gap between income and expenses, you also have a loan payment on top of it. Then you use your overdraft. Just $500 for 3 days, the rate is around 12% per month, which is about 0.4% per day. You barely notice because it's just a few days. But suddenly those 3 days turn into a week, then 2 weeks, and before you realize it, you've paid around $80 in interest just to use $500 of the bank's money for 15 days. Now look at the math from the other side. The bank lent you $2,000 at 8% per month. Do you know where that money came from? From someone like Maria, who has $20,000 invested in a bank certificate earning 0.8% per month. The bank takes her money, lends it to you at 8%, and pays her only 0.8%. That difference is called the banking spread. It's the difference between what the bank pays to obtain money and what it charges to lend it. In this case, 10 times more. The bank earns 10 times more than it pays the person who provided the money. And that's when we're talking about a CDB, which is already better than savings. In a savings account, you earn about 0.5% or 0.6% per month, while the bank lends the same money at 8%, 10%, or even 12% per month. It's such a profitable business that the largest banks make billions from this every quarter. Billions. And here's the most important part that most people never realize. This system only works if you're on the vulnerable side of the equation. The bank needs you to need it. It needs you to live in a constant state of financial shortage where accepting an 8% monthly loan seems reasonable because the alternative is not paying bills, not buying food, or having your name in debt records. Now let me take a quick break here, because if this topic is opening your mind, there's something that can accelerate this process even more. There's a resource called the definitive Encyclopedia of Financial Intelligence, which is basically a complete guide for anyone who wants to break free from this financial cycle and start thinking like someone who truly builds wealth. Inside this ebook, you learn practical things like understanding your current financial situation, organizing your payments, setting spending limits, discovering real ways to save money, and even generating extra income using skills you already have. It also shows strategies for getting out of debt, controlling your finances, using credit cards intelligently, and even investment concepts, including real estate. In other words, it's practically a manual to increase your financial IQ and start making much smarter decisions with your money. And right now, it's 60% off for a limited time. So if you want to take advantage of it, the link is in the description. Now let's get back to it because the next part explains exactly what happens when someone finally breaks free from this financial cycle. Another thing that keeps the system running is the credit card revolving balance. And this is one of the biggest profit machines that exists. For example, suppose you make a purchase of $1,000 split into 12 installments with no interest. Sounds good, right? No interest, everything seems fine. But in the following month, for some reason, you can't pay the full bill. So you pay $800 out of the $1,000, leaving $200 unpaid. That $200 goes into revolving credit, and the average revolving credit rate is nearing 15% per month. Let me translate that into real numbers. $200 in revolving credit becomes $304 in 3 months if you don't pay anything. That's a 52% return in 90 days for the bank. Do you know how long it takes for you to earn 52% in an investment considered good? Years, literally years. The bank does it in quarters with your money. And there's another point that almost nobody notices. Today, there's a law that limits revolving interest so the debt cannot more than double. If you owe $200, the interest cannot exceed another $200. It sounds like protection, right? It seems like now you're safe, but the system is smarter than that. Before the debt even reaches that limit, the bank removes you from the revolving balance and pushes you into an installment plan for the bill. Is the interest rate there lower? Yes, but the term is longer, and in the end, the bank guarantees its profit without breaking the rule. It's like changing a tight collar for a slightly looser one, but you're still trapped. Now let's go back to the beginning. That purchase in 12 interest-free installments. That term should actually be banned because it's never really interest-free. The store owner pays administrative fees and, most importantly, anticipation fees to receive the money up front. In the end, the merchant can lose between 10% and 15% of the total sale value to the bank. So in a $1,000 purchase, the store might hand over about $120 to the bank just to receive the money immediately. And guess who actually pays that difference? You, because the store already included that cost in the product price. That's why discounts for PIX payments are usually higher. The entire system is designed to keep you dependent. Think about it. If you never have savings, you will always need the bank when something goes wrong. The car breaks down, loan, family illness, overdraft, lost your job, credit card. And each one of these situations pushes you a little deeper because you're not just solving the immediate problem. You're creating a debt that will follow you for months or even years. That being said, let's move on to the most important step in this video. Protect this emergency fund with your life. An emergency fund is not for vacations. It's not for changing your phone. It's not for taking advantage of a promotion. It's for real emergencies. Illness, accidents, job loss, urgent repairs. If you start using it for anything, it will stop being there when you truly need it. And here's a truth that hurts, but needs to be said. Most people will never reach 25,000. Do you know why? Because they don't believe it's possible. because they think investing is something only rich people do, because they prefer to split a purchase into 12 interest-free installments instead of saving the money and buying it up front with a discount in 3 months, because they live on autopilot. But you don't have to be the majority. You can be the exception. You can be the person who 2 years from now will look back and think, man, what a difference this made in my life. You can be the person who doesn't panic when the car breaks down, who doesn't lose sleep over everyday bills, who doesn't live as a hostage to any bank. Banks build a system where financial vulnerability is profitable, where every time you need them, every interest payment you make finances their billions in quarterly profits. And they won't change that system. Why would they? It's working perfectly for them. But you can change your side of this equation. You can stop being the customer who pays interest and become the customer who receives interest. You can stop being just another number in debt statistics and become someone who controls their own financial life. $25,000. This is not about the exact number. It's about what that number represents. It represents independence, security, the moment when you stop playing the bank's game and start playing your own game. And when you get there, when you look at your bank statement and see the positive number that reserve built month after month, cent by cent, you'll understand why banks hate people who have 25,000 saved, because you stopped being vulnerable, and vulnerability is the product they sell. When you stop buying it, they lose the most profitable customer that exists. In the end, financial freedom isn't about having a lot of money. It's about not depending on anyone when life gets tough. And that, my friend, is priceless. Well, I finally finished this. It really took a lot of work to do. So at least leave a like. And if you stayed until the end, comment on the way to 1,000 subscribers. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to change the way you deal with money in practice and learn the best method for financial freedom, the ebook link is in the description with a 60% discount for a limited time. I'll leave it here and see you next time.